Let's make a custom stinger transition using Adobe After Effects. I'm gonna be showing you how to make it completely from scratch, and I'm gonna show you how easy it is. We're gonna be making the transition animation, and then I'm gonna show you how to add your logo. But most importantly, whatever we create, I'm gonna make it available to you for free. So even if you don't have access to Adobe After Effects, but you have a friend who has it, you can be like, hey, can you open this file up, put in my logo, and just export it for me? And boom, you have a custom stinger transition for your stream. And of course, we'll be adding it to OBS Studio. Now, the real reason why I'm able to give it away for free is because I wanted to do another video tutorial. I wanted to show you how to animate your emotes using Adobe After Effects. But then Own, today's sponsor, came up with something better. All you have to do is go to own.gg/getlevel, go to emotes in the menu, go to animated emote maker, click make your own animation. You can upload emotes from your computer or just link your Twitch channel so you can get access to the emotes you already uploaded to Twitch. For example, if I pick this emote, I can get crushed. I can party. Fly away in a rocket. And my favorite, get buried with the RIP emote. Of course, those are all different animations, but I'll let you check it out over at own.gg/getlevel. That's my special link, own.gg/getlevel, own3d.gg/yaboy. Now here we are in Adobe After Effects, and we're gonna click on New Project. From there, we can click on New Composition here, or we can go up top, go Composition, New Composition, or just press Ctrl-N. So preset's gonna be custom. We're gonna go 1080p, so 1920 by 1080. We're gonna go 60 FPS, just for the best frame rate, basically. And for the seconds, stinger transitions are usually pretty quick, pretty fast. So we're gonna go with something very short. I like putting 5 seconds just to have a better view of what I'm doing, but the stinger transition itself, it's probably gonna be 2 seconds. Okay, so here we have our preview in the middle here. On the left side, we're gonna have basically the assets of the project. And at the bottom, we'll have the timeline of the specific composition. As you can see, what we created is called Comp1. Should probably rename it. If the screen is black here for you and you would like to see the transparency, right there's gonna be a little toggle. You just click, boom, and now you can tell that there's nothing in our composition. So I'm gonna scroll down to zoom out a little bit, and I'm gonna go click on some of the shapes here. Click and hold if you want a rounded rectangle tool or just a rectangle tool. We're gonna stick with that. And basically, we're gonna operate under the principle of covering up the screen to have a transition point. So at 0 seconds, the screen is gonna be blank. Some animation's gonna come in, cover the whole screen, and this is where basically we're gonna change our scene. This is the transition point. We're gonna keep that at 1 second so it's easier to remember. It's gonna be 1000 milliseconds. And then by the time it's up to 2 seconds, screen is gonna be blank again. That is what we need to achieve. So I'm gonna go to 1 second, and I'm going to place a rectangle. It really doesn't matter the size or whatever. We're improvising here. Now, most likely this is gonna be the part where you choose your color scheme. I like to go with a light gray here. We're gonna animate them later on, right? Click OK. I'm gonna pick that shape layer that I just created. I'm gonna click on it. I'm gonna press Ctrl-D to duplicate it. And while this one is selected, I'm gonna go up here to fill, and I'm gonna change the color. This one, I want it to be some sort of a yellow. Click OK. Do the same thing, Ctrl-D. This one, I want it to be some sort of a blue. Click OK. I'm gonna duplicate again. And this one, I want it to be some sort of a purple. There you go. Whatever color scheme you have, you should pick. Obviously, if your stream is all red and black, just pick red and black and you're Gucci. So those are our main shapes. Those are what we're gonna use to cover the whole screen. But I also want little tiny details. So I'm gonna click away in the timeline, and I'm gonna go pick my pen tool. Now we're just gonna be adding a bunch of lines. I'm gonna click once. I'm gonna hold Shift and click another time. Boom, that adds a straight line. In the timeline, I'm gonna click away and click back to my shape layer 5. Click once, hold Shift, click here, and do the same thing over and over again. Okay, once you're done, make sure you have your shape layer 5 selected. We're gonna click on fill here, but on the word, and we're gonna click on transparent, basically. So no colors for the fill. And we're gonna go to stroke, and we're gonna add a number that looks good. 4 is not bad. Let's go with 6. 6 is not bad. Let's go with 8. All right, and we can pick the color. I'm gonna go white for this one, and we're gonna click on that little arrow next to the shape layer 5. Okay, now we're gonna click on content, and then we're gonna click on add, and here we will click on trim paths. All right, now we can click on the little arrow. And if you play with the end value, you're gonna see that it's moving. It's basically trimming the path, right? We're gonna go a little in between 0 to 1 second. And we're gonna click on end. We're gonna move that to almost 1 second, to 1 second actually. And we're gonna put that to 100%. We're gonna go back kind of towards the middle of that animation. Sorry, by clicking on the stopwatch, you're creating a keyframe. So automatically it's gonna go from that value to that other value. Okay, kind of in the middle, click on start. And that's gonna be the starting point. And a little past that 1 second, we want the start to be at 100%. So this is the animation we basically created, right? It starts and it's just that simple. Now to make it even more interesting, where it says trim multiple shapes, you can click on that drop down and click individually. So now it's gonna do all of them separately. It's gonna look a little bit better. I'm gonna select those 2 keyframes. So those are the starting keyframes. I'm gonna right click, keyframe assistant, and I'm gonna ease out. So it's basically, it's gonna go a little more organically. And then for this, I'm gonna right click, keyframe, I'm gonna ease in. So it basically slows down before reaching that level. You can play around with the time and do whatever you want. If we press play, this is what it looks like. Remember that your transition is gonna be super fast, so keep that in mind. I'm probably just gonna duplicate this one and give it a different color. You can also rename everything by clicking on the layer, pressing enter, and this is gonna be lines. All right, now I can press Control D. Now I have lines too. And up there, I can click on the color and I wanna give it like a yellowish. Now, since we duplicated them, one thing you can do is press U to see what are the keyframes that you added to a layer. As you can see, I have my start end here. And the problem is that I have the same keyframes there. So they're gonna play on top of each other. One thing we can do is just click on the layer and drag it almost at 2 seconds. Remember, 2 seconds, we want everything to be blank, so no. So that's nice. And there you go. You have a cute little animation, if you will. Now, all we want to do is basically animate all the layers before that. Since we know it's going to be our transition point and we want the screen to be full at this point, we can basically already set it up and then animate from there. For example, I know that I don't want my purple. I can go back, select the move tool. I know that my purple rectangle is not going to be there, right? So I can put that here. I know that my teal, it's not going to be there either. And I definitely know that my yellow, it's not going to be there. So I want to stay with my gray layer. That's not gray enough. There you go. Now it's the time you're going to determine which type of animation you want for each layer. I know the gray is going to be full screen anyways. So I don't necessarily want it to fly in or anything like that. I just want it to appear. So I'm going to play around with the opacity. I'm going to animate the opacity. So bottom is going to be the gray. Actually, I'm going to rename this to gray. And I'm going to press T on my keyboard to access the opacity. By the way, you can access all those things by just clicking on the little arrows, transform, and eventually you'll find opacity. But keyboard shortcuts are the best. And I'm going to animate the opacity by clicking on the little stopwatch. I created a keyframe for it. I'm going to go back a little bit and I'm going to put it to 0. So it's basically going to animate right here. Or maybe I wanted to animate slower. In that case, I put more time in between the 2 keyframes. Gonna go a little further away and I'm gonna type 0. Automatic keyframe. There we go. So now if I go through the timeline, it goes in and it goes out. I don't really like the way that it just immediately goes out like that. Maybe I want it to stay for a little longer. In that case, I can either put 2 keyframes where it's at 100%, or I can make it ease in and also ease out. So it's gonna slow down to come in, slow down to come out. And in that case, you right click on it, you go to keyframe assistant and you go easy ease, or you press F9. In that case, it's gonna do this and it's gonna stay a little longer, right? It's not immediate. You can press play. There you go. All right, now let's animate the rest. What is this shape layer? That is my yellow. What is this? It's gonna be my cyan. And this is gonna be my purple. So let's go to 0. I actually want them to fly by, but I want them to be kind of rotated. So we're gonna pick a rotation angle, click on the layer, press R for a rotation, or just click the drop down until you find something you like. And I think 48 degrees look great. So at 0, I'm gonna press P for the position because that's what we're animating. click on the stopwatch, it creates a keyframe. And before we get to that full screen gray, I want it to have completed its flyby. So with the move tool selected, I'm just gonna click on it and drag it to kind of see that pattern that I want. And there you go. Now if I scroll back, it's doing this. Thing is, in order to make sure that I don't lose any speed, the first keyframe, I'm gonna make sure that it's pretty much close to the edge. So I know that as soon as it starts, it's in there. Nice. And we can do the ease in and ease out. So right click, ease out of the first position, right click, keyframe assistant, ease in to the last position. So we have a organic movement. Again, nice. And let's do the same thing with different delays for the rest. So I'm gonna go a little bit after this, and this is where I want, let's say, my teal to do that. Remember we had 48 degrees. So with my teal layer selected, press R for rotation, click on the number on the right, click 48, see what it looks like. Looks great. Press P for position, click on the stopwatch to create a keyframe, go a little further, maybe before 1 second. Maybe the yellow is a little slow. Let me actually collapse that so you can see what I'm doing a little bit clearer. Anyways, let's move it. Okay, right click, ease out, right click, ease in. This is what we have for now. Okay, we just want to get that purple in there. I'm actually gonna move the keyframes a little bit, just so I have some space for the purple. So everything's gonna go a little faster before the 1 second mark. And shape layer 3 is my purple. We're gonna go with the rotation, which is 48 degrees. Boom. And we're gonna go with position, P, boom. And let's place that keyframe in the middle of those two and maybe at the 1 second mark. There you go. Click and drag. Try to kind of follow the same angle, but you don't have to. Right click on the keyframe, ease out, ease in. And then you can play around with the timing to fit your needs. Do this, make them go a little slower maybe. Personally, my biggest issue here is the timing with the transition point. I don't really want that fade in to be that visible. So I'm probably gonna just move everything. There you go. And it goes to 2 seconds perfectly. And that would be the whole transition. I actually plan to have a second animation with the colors, but hey, if that works, that works. Not a huge fan of the yellow color. It's me being very peculiar. There you go. Maybe I don't want the transition to start here. Like I don't want the gray to start being so visible here. I would rather it start somewhere there. So we're gonna lower that a lot. Full screen. Funny thing is because of this specific frame, we actually don't need the gray at all. Yeah, the gray is completely redundant. I'm gonna delete the keyframes. I'm just gonna animate it from right to left. Like here, I think it would be cool for it to appear and then finish its animation there. So position, we're gonna put that there. A little before 1 second, we wanted to make its appearance. So position, we're gonna put the keyframe here. And then afterwards, we want it to be done around there. So I'm gonna click, drag, and also hold Shift in order to keep it linear. Nice. So it should look something like that. There we go. All right. I just like putting like a darker color or a neutral color like that, like black and white or gray, dark gray or light gray. Right click on the keyframe, same thing. We're gonna ease out and then we're gonna ease in. And this is what we have so far. Okay, nothing too fancy, but definitely you could export this and boom, you have a stinger transition. I still don't like the color of the yellow for some reason. It has like a hint of green, that's why. There we go, a more orangish yellow. Now we have the two lines that are horizontal. We want them to also be rotated. So I'm gonna press R on the white lines. I'm gonna press 48, boom. So now we have rotated lines. If you click on that little button here, it's toggle mask and shape path visibility. You can basically see what you're working with. Like that. You can press U, remember, for the keyframe. Maybe you want that to happen a little earlier. Then click on the second lines, which are the yellow ones. We're gonna press R for rotation. We're also gonna put 48. Or if you want, you can put -48 maybe. It's just the other way around. There we go. Now, if you wanted to add like more details, something that I like to do is use like drop shadows. So you can go to your effects and presets menu here, or just go to layer effect with something selected, like your shape layer. You can go to effect. And I believe drop shadow is going to be under perspective, drop shadow. Which layer is that? And that's the yellow layer. Let's go to one that's actually on top, the purple one, for example. So it's more visible. So effects, perspective, drop shadow, and we should be able to see it a little bit better. Let's go with 100% just so we can really see it. Distance, we're going to bump that up. And here we can control like the angle. All right, there it is. You want something very soft. And we'll want an angle that goes down a little bit. Softer. And we're going to lower the opacity to something like that. Not too visible. 35% is nice. Now you can click on drop shadow here, the name, press Ctrl C to copy. Select shape layer 3, which is our cyan. We're going to press Ctrl V. Boom. As you can see, it added it. And you can also add it to the yellow. It's going to add it right there. Boom. There you go. If you want, you can also put it to the gray. If you really wanted to, you can add it to the lines also. Ctrl V on them. It's barely visible because the softness is high. Can lower the softness to make it more visible for the lines. And here we're going to click on it again, copy it so we can have the exact same softness for the yellow lines. Ctrl V, and yellow lines also have the same drop shadow. Okay, not a huge fan of how the gray appears only here. Don't like that, so I'm going to just adjust the whole length of its movement. That's pretty soft and more visible. Right? More coherent. All right, time to save, but also time to add a logo. Now, of course, if you have your own logo already, it's pretty easy. Like I do, you could just drag and drop on the timeline, and boom, your logo would be added. But since I'm making this as a template, I want to make it easier for you to put your own logo. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to go and create a new composition. And instead of 1080p, I'm going to make it 1080 by 1080. So it's going to be a square. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to name it logo, composition name logo. I'm going to click OK. Now you will see that we are on a different timeline. We have comp 1, which is the transition. And then we have logo, which is where the logo goes. I'm going to add a logo here, and I'm just going to make it fit. I'm going to drag and drop it into the timeline. As you can see, it doesn't fit. I can press S and bring down the scale. Nice. Let's go back to our comp 1, which is where our transition is, right? We can go to project and drag and drop the logo composition. As you can see, it says composition here. Drag and drop. And now we can animate it as we wish. Now, basic animation, as I showed you, could be opacity going from 0 to 100 and then back to 0. We can animate the movement, make it go from left to right. We're going to do a mix of position and rotation to make it kind of fall down into place and then fall out of frame. So we know that at 1 second exactly, we want the position and the rotation to be this. I'm going to press P for position. I'm going to add a keyframe. I'm going to press Shift and R so I can also see my rotation. Add a keyframe. And then go back in time, if you will. And I can play with the values. If I click and drag to the left, it's going to bring it up. Same thing for the rotation. It's going to rotate it. So I want to rotate it counterclockwise, and I want it to go all the way up. There we go. Select both keyframes, ease out. We know the middle one is going to be an easy ease, so it's both in and out. There you go. And then by the time it's 2 seconds, we want to do the rest of the animation. So I want it to fall and keep on rotating, basically. So it's going to rotate clockwise, and I want it to fall. I'm clicking and dragging the values. There you go. Now this is automatically putting easy ease, but you can right click and ease in. It's the same result. Now let's see what we created. Now this is a little fast, maybe a little too fast. So we're going to drag some stuff around to make the transition happen a little slower. Make sure we really take advantage of the whole 2 seconds. I'm going to do this. There you go. This might get a little complicated, but let's say that I want the middle animation, the ease in and ease out, to last longer. Because obviously, like, I don't like Just a little longer would be great. I'm going to select both of those. So that's the position and rotation. And up here, I'm going to click on the graph editor. This is where I'm going to have a look at the actual animation, right? Put my timeline right there. Boom. And there it is. That's the animation. So it goes from up there to slow down. That's the temporal animation. And basically I can drag those little handles and make it last a little longer. Of course, it's going to give me more speed for falling and more speed for falling in. But as long as I get that little pause, then it's perfect. I go back, play. There it is. Perfect. Click back on the graph editor to go back here. And as you can see, we stay a little longer. I like that. We're pretty much done. So when you will download this project, all you will have to do is click on the logo composition and drag and drop your logo here. You're probably going to get a message, something like, hey, you don't have the get level logo. We can't find it anywhere. And that's normal because you don't have my logo. You will have to put your own logo. So you can come here, just delete it by pressing delete, and then drag and drop whatever you want, right? And then you can press S to make it fit, drag the scale up or down. If it's a profile picture, it also works. You can do that too. And then when you go back to composition, look at that. There it is. You can go back to those shape layers for the colors, pick them, and then select whatever color you want. All right, let me save this. Now, obviously, we didn't spend a lot of time on design. We just put a bunch of colors, a bunch of shapes together just to show you the principle of custom transitions. But how do we export this in a format that OBS Studio will read? We will not use Adobe After Effects renderer because it's crap. We're going to go to this website, which I'll try to link in the description, which is fnordware.com/webm. And we're going to download this for Mac or Windows, whatever you're using. And that will allow us to export in WebM format for media encoder. So if you're using a legit version of After Effects, you should have access to your media encoder. So once this is installed, you will have an extra option to export in WebM with an alpha channel, which means transparent background. I actually forgot something pretty important. You want to go here. You see that little blue part on your composition? You want to go ahead and drag this to the end of your transition because that is the work area. Or if you want to, you can go back to composition settings and set your time to 2 seconds instead of 5. Because now you're done, you've had all your space. Put that to 2, boom, okay. And now the whole composition is 2 seconds. Okay, now you can go ahead and click composition, click add to Adobe Media Encoder queue, wait for Adobe Media Encoder to open up, blah, blah, blah. Mine is already open here. And you're gonna click on whatever it says here. And we're gonna have this dialog box. And under Format, we will find WebM if you installed the WebM thingy. You can click on Output Name to put a name and where you want it. I'm going to call this one Example. And then, very important, you're going to scroll down until you see Include Alpha Channel. That is your transparency right there. 1080p, 60 FPS, you're pretty much good to go. Click OK. And click Render, or little play button up there. Then we should be good. Now, if I go back to OBS Studio and I would want to add this transition, I'm going to click on Scene Transition. I'm going to add a stinger if there isn't one. Call this one whatever you want, Stinger 3. Video file, we're going to browse and look for a stinger that we just created with Adobe Media Encoder. It's right there, .webm. Now, very important, we're going to see transition point type milliseconds and then transition point. Remember, it was 1 second, so that's 1000 milliseconds. And that's pretty much it. You can preview the transition if you want. There you go. Now, if I click OK and I switch a scene, our transition will play, I think. I don't have my preview on. Let me play it again. There you go. Perfect. So one more quick tutorial on how to customize it yourself. First, download and install WebM Open Movie plugin for Premiere. Open up the After Effects project. The shape layers are the colored layers, so you can go up here and change the colors. The logo composition is right there, or you can just double click on it here. it will probably say, hey, there's a missing image. That's my logo. You don't have my logo. So just click OK and then delete this. Drag and drop your logo, press S to scale it and make it fit. And then you're done. You're done. You're done. You can preview this, press play, whatever. And then click composition, add to media encoder Q, pick WebM, pick include alpha and render. Once again, we did not spend so much time working on the design. We can definitely make transitions that look better, but that's up to you. You're the artist now. You could literally do this as commissions because custom transitions are pretty hard to come by. So once again, Get Level teaching you stuff that you can do for yourself or even for money. Either way, the project file will be uploaded to gumroad.com/getlevel. This is where you're gonna find it. I'm gonna put a thumbnail that makes it look just like it looks. But to be fair, it doesn't matter if you get it or not because I just taught you how to do it from scratch. Now, of course, I'm gonna have comments about people who don't have access to Adobe After Effects. I get it. It's a paid software. It's a pretty expensive paid software. There's this wonderful software called DaVinci Resolve, and there isn't a shortage of how to do custom stinger transitions using DaVinci Resolve. So if you don't have money to put into After Effects, go with DaVinci Resolve. It's completely free. There's a bunch of tutorials. I just don't use it, so I can't make tutorials on it. And that is all. Consider subscribing, especially if this isn't the first time you're seeing my face. But I will see you guys next time. Go out there, make me proud, get level, out.